You are more than a religious or political label. Now, the labels that we place on ourselves can often be confining because as human beings, we want to define ourselves. We want to say, okay, I am this. I have this affiliation, whether it be religious or political or any kind of societal identity that we want to place ourselves within. We like to be able to conceive of ourselves in relation to every other political and religious group. So we fall in with groups of individuals that we feel most akin to. Maybe it's because of our family, maybe it's because of our friends, maybe it's because their ideas really click with us. But we like to fall into these slots, these preconceived notions of what humanity should be, whether it be religious or political, and most of the time a combination of the two. Now, I describe myself as Hindu, for instance. I describe myself as being very liberal, for instance. Now, these things often put me into a position where people will assume things about me, where they'll think that, okay, you're Hindu, obviously you believe in multiple gods, obviously you don't follow a traditional path, you're just open to all kinds of sexual activity and all kinds of spiritual worship that could be idolatry, that can be just all kinds of heathenry, all kinds of things that go away from God because you're conversing with demons. You're conversing with everything that is against the one true God. And monotheists will often make this claim. And the funny thing is, Hinduism is far more monotheistic than other monotheists believe, because we believe everything is a part of the one source, the one God in essence, but everything is a part of the same thing. But regardless, there's a lot of conceptions that come with, okay, you're Hindu, this is what you are. Obviously, this is the kind of people you associate with. Obviously, this is the kind of food you eat. Obviously, this is the kind of behavior that you commit to. And now I'm going to liberal. Now, I consider myself liberal, so a lot of people will say, okay, you're liberal. Obviously, you're dirty, you just have sex with whoever you want. You're okay with gay people, so obviously you're likely to be gay. Obviously, you don't want to follow a traditional family values life path. Obviously, you want big government that invades everything and taxes us as much as possible. Obviously, you want a globalist society. You don't want to be just an American. You want everything to be one commune. Now, these are extreme views on being liberal, but I've heard it all. I have heard it all. I've heard it all from people who dislike Hinduism and from people who dislike liberal people. And these are the conceptions of, the groups that I usually identify with that come from other people. So the external confining is actually the lesser of the two confinements, if you will. The self-confining is what concerns me a lot, because I even find myself doing this. I'll confine myself to liberal points of view without addressing a certain circumstance, without addressing, okay, this person disagrees with this liberal person that I like, so obviously that person, their opinion, their information, and their facts are incorrect. I don't do that often, but I do catch myself doing that sometimes, and I'm like, okay, have I really checked out this person's facts? Have I really looked at their point of view, or am I just disagreeing with them because they don't like Bernie Sanders or they don't like another liberal candidate? And the same thing with religious people. A lot of the time when a Christian will talk about Jesus or one of his teachings, I always take it with not a grain of salt, but a lot of salt. The whole damn pitcher of salt. Hopefully nobody has a pitcher of salt. You don't need that much salt. But I often take it with, okay, they're obviously hugely biased, and none of their views will check out, even if I do check them out, as far as in relation to the Old Testament, the New Testament, and maybe even Gnostic texts. Of course, Gnostic texts are a little bit outside of what a Christian would preach at you, but I shouldn't do that. And I catch myself doing that, and I'm like, okay, let me just stop. Let me hear this person out. Let me really look at what they're saying. Let me try to see their point of view. And I shouldn't just dismiss them immediately. But sometimes I do that, and sometimes I don't catch myself, and I let it go. And then later on, I'll be like, oh man, I just did not listen to that person. So the idea of however you think of yourself, however you look at yourself, just be sure that you don't allow these groups that we often want to classify ourselves as just for the sake of brevity, for the sake of explaining who we are to other people and who we are to ourselves, because we don't like to examine ourselves on every single topic, because it's scary. It's scary to look at who we really are and how we relate to every single issue and every single aspect of reality. It's difficult. It's hard because society is not geared that way. Society is geared towards not only groups, but the flowing of majority sections of information. Okay, this section of information goes along this pathway. Education, these are all the things that go along education. This is everything that goes along economics. This is everything that goes along war. This is everything that goes along spirituality or religion. And we often negate in society the interrelation between everything, between all of these topics, between all of these relations to reality, all of these initiations of a human to reality and how a human understands reality, let alone the reality separate from how we understand or the initiation. But that's another topic for another day. But we have to get down to brass tacks and really look at how we see things instead of just falling into the labels that make it easier to be a person, in society, or a person as part of a group. Look at these individual topics, look at these individual issues, examine your consciousness, and use your consciousness every time you encounter anything that is worth considering, that you consider worth considering, and anything that you would automatically respond with your political view to or your religious view to. Look through your consciousness and use it. Don't just take the script that you have in the back of your head because you're a part of some religious or political group. Examine. And when you examine, you'll start to realize, and you'll follow that thread back, okay, I actually might not believe this, or my consciousness is far different than I thought it was. My filter is becoming clear, and I'm becoming a crystalline water of understanding that doesn't require these labels. If you can do that, if you can work towards that, then you'll be able to toss aside these labels. You'll be able to really be the person that you're really always meant to be, because you are an individual. You are unique. You don't need to be classified as these groups. And I'm not to that level yet, but maybe we can get there together. Maybe we can get there to that level where we don't need groups. We don't need classifications. We don't need to have a stance on an issue without really considering it with our own unique consciousness. So thank you very much for watching. This has been a video on you're more than a religious or political label. Sorry, it took a little bit to spit that out. But I hope this has been interesting. I hope this has make you think about your own affiliations and how you relate to society, how you relate to other people. If it has, if you like this video at all, hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps out the channel. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, you disagree with me, or you really agree with me, shoot it down in the comment section below. I try to get to all comments. But regardless, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see all of you in the future.